might do your wake-up call for Dan Hunt. Okay, the first case on the docket is going to be FAM 19-0838 CC1 in the interest of Blake. And we're set for a permanency/final, which I'm assuming is going to be a permanency hearing. And so I do not have any parents here today. So let's just go ahead and get everybody sworn in. It's going to be testifying. So I need everyone who's going to testify to make sure they're off of mute and to raise their right hand. And do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony provided today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Ridgel.
Okay, I'll call Delane Thorne. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Delane Thorne.
And where is RJ currently placed?
He is placed in a kinship placement in Gregg County with Amanda and her husband.
And how is he doing in that home?
He is doing wonderful. He's up to date on all medical dental appointments. He did turn 3 in February and he's already had his CANS assessment, but doing great.
Do we have any concerns for him in that placement?
No, we don't.
And does he have any special needs or medical needs?
No.
And as far as visitation, what is the current visitation schedule for RJ?
He visits with his mom every Saturday,
And
as
what about,
supervised by Amanda.
okay. And what about Miss Pickett?
She visits every other weekend from Saturday to Sunday.
And are those visits going okay?
Yes.
Okay. And so as far as Destiny services, what services does she have left to complete?
She is currently still participating in her intensive counseling through Larry Wilburn's office.
And is that also her intensive parenting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And for today's purposes, are you asking the court to find that she's compliant with her service plan or non-compliant?
She is compliant with her service plan.
Okay. And do you have any update on Destiny's new baby from the adversary hearing that was held yesterday?
The adversary hearing was actually rescheduled for today at 1:30.
Okay. Okay, and so today, are you asking the court to continue the department as a temporary managing conservator?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're set for a jury trial in this case on June 8th, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we had a settlement conference or a mediation, and the parties didn't come to an agreement, but there's still some discussion about some settlement currently, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so the parties are still working on possibly settling this case.
That is my understanding. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else you feel the court needs to know today?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And so you're asking the court to maintain RJ in his current placement?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
And Mr. Hunt, and I will advise you that Ms. Blevins did join us. So do you have any questions, Mr. Hunt?
The visits that Destiny gets are, is it 2 hours every Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And those are at Amanda Barron's house, not at the CPS office. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Has Destiny provided you proof of her employment yet?
I have not received any pay stubs from her.
Okay. Destiny recently got a new car, or new to her at least. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And are you aware that she has insurance on that vehicle?
He has provided me with insurance. Yes, sir.
Okay. And did she tell you she went to, I believe, Jacksonville sometime last week trying to get her driver's license, and they told her that the written portion of her driving test had expired, so she's having to redo that? Is that your understanding?
She did not tell me that she went to the Jacksonville office, but I do know she's had to
Or no, I'm sorry,
reschedule.
not Jacksonville. It was Palestine. I apologize.
I do know that she has rescheduled her driver's license appointment.
Okay. And she does have a house. It's on the, I think, on the southwest side of Tyler.
No.
Okay. Where does she have a house?
The house that I've been to is on the east side of Tyler. Off the
I apologize. Okay. And it's been checked out by CPS and it's okay. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I guess as of earlier this week, she was staying temporarily with her friend Nicole while she recovered from her C-section. Is that your understanding?
My understanding is that she is staying with her friend Nicole, yes.
And Destiny has not had any positive drug tests during this entire case. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's currently working on her intensive parenting. I believe it's with Larry Wilburn. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll pass witness.
Yes, I'd call CASA. Can you state your name for the record?
Eddie Sandifer.
And what's CASA's recommendation today?
CASA's recommendation is to keep things as they are unless we can finally get a settlement.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Hunt,
I have no questions for this witness.
Mr. Coe,
Nor do I, Judge.
Ms. Pickett,
No, sir.
and Ms. Mills.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything further, Ms. Ridgel?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hunt, any witnesses?
Not for today's purposes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Coe, any witnesses?
No, Judge, I just want to second what Ms. Ridgel said, that there are continuing informal settlement discussions, and I think that the parties will continue to cooperate. We may end up at some point coordinating an informal settlement conference, post-mediation informal settlement conference, which I can do via Zoom, or I'm sure one of the other lawyers could set up if that becomes necessary. But what we do want to do is we can reach a settlement. We want to do it long before our trial date starts, so everybody doesn't spend half of a month getting ready for trial.
Okay, and I agree with that. Ms. Pickett, do you have any witnesses you want to call today or anything that you feel like I need to know?
No, sir, not at this time.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mills, any witnesses or any recommendations?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I would just echo what Mr. Coe said about settlement. If we're going to do it, I'd like to get it done sooner rather than later, and I do think that a settlement's still in the best interest of RJ. Otherwise, we'll be ready for trial in June.
Judge, may I ask a question, Judge, related to what I just and Ms. Ridgel had both discussed? Is there a pretrial set?
Since I'm not trying the case, I don't know.
It is set for June 3rd at 2:30. I'm putting that in the order at 1:30. I'm putting that in the order as well for announcement.
Okay. I didn't know I know the court schedule is busy. I didn't know if you, Judge Downs, wanted to set something prior to that pretrial announcement on your docket, just to give us some settlement pressure, because deadlines help everybody. If the court can't do it, I understand. If we get to June 3rd, I've already had to get ready for trial by that point. I would prefer like something late May-ish. But if you can't do it, just let us know. I just thought I'd put the idea out there.
I do, I kind of agree with putting the pressure on, but unfortunately, really this needs to, it's either going to be a trial or it's not at this point. So that's going to be the pressure, is getting ready for trial. And like you say, if you guys don't have it by June 3rd, you're not going to have it, on June 8th. So, but I will encourage everyone to get together probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks to try to figure out what settlement you can do or what might be possible. Because, like you say, I know all the attorneys are going to spend at least 3 weeks getting ready for this. And so by mid-May, you're already kind of committed into things. But anyway, so I'm not going to set it, but I do, understand what you're saying there. And the department's going to continue.
And Your Honor, Your Honor, this is Dan Hunt. I can tell you that we have been, as Mr. Coe said, we've been talking through email about a potential settlement. So I think we can probably arrange to get something together here in the next week.
If you can get it settled, I can hear the settlement. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody have to waive that, the objections. But, if it gets settled, we can get that done and get it off of Judge Williams' docket, because I know he's got plenty of criminal trials to take care of. The department's going to continue as the temporary managed conservator of Blake, and I will approve the placement with Ms. Barron and find that is in his best interest today. I'm also going to continue the visits and keep everything status quo in the case. But again, if you guys can settle it, let Mr. Creech know, and I will put it on a docket for a prove up of a settlement agreement, as long as everybody's, willing to waive me hearing the final. We will find out what happens as it goes. And, I believe Ms. Ridgel said the next hearing is going to be June the 3rd, which is a pretrial at 1:30.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you'll be, and you'll be in Judge Williams' court on that, and that will be in person, I'm pretty sure. So, but you guys get with Judge Williams, and he will let you know. And we're going to be adjourned today, and I appreciate it. Ms. Pickett, Ms. Barron, and Ms. Blevins, you can go ahead and log off, and we will see you possibly, depending on what the settlements are. 0081 CC1 in the interest of the McBride children, and we are set today for a status hearing. I do have the parents here with us today, so I do have to give you the statutory warning, which is that your parental rights and duties are subject to restriction or termination if you are unwilling or unable to provide your child or children with a safe environment. Ms. New, you may proceed.
Thank you. I call Ashley Morgan. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Ashley Morgan.
And are you the conservatorship worker for the McBride kids?
Yes, I am.
And where are they currently placed?
Balin and Willow are currently in a foster home in yikes, and Ribbon and Phillip are in a home in Eustis.
Okay. And how are they doing in their placements?
They're doing well. Since the adversary, Balin and Willow were moving a new placement because they were discharged from their initial. They're doing really, really well in that new home. Phillip are in the same foster home that they were initially placed in. They're continuing to do well. Ribbon has started school at Eustis. He's in pre-K, and Phillip's going to daycare, and Willow actually started daycare, and then Balin's going to school. So they're doing well.
Okay. Are there any health issues with any of the kids?
No, there's not.
At this point, are any of the kids on psychotropic medication?
No.
And any developmental concerns with the children?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Are their current placements meeting all their needs?
Yes, they are.
Are you asking the court to maintain them in their current placements?
Yes, I am.
So was a family group conference held in this case?
There was.
Did both mother and father attend?
Yes, they did.
And did both parents have the opportunity to assist in developing a plan designed, narrowly tailored to address the specific reasons that brought the children into care?
Yes.
Do they both understand what is required of them by their respective plans?
Yes.
And so let's talk about mom. What is on her plan of service?
On tier 1, we've asked that she complete a psychological evaluation. And then I mentioned in tier 2, we've asked that she complete a 12-step program, participate in substance abuse counseling, individual counseling, general parenting classes, attend a parent collaboration group, and then also family counseling eventually. And then in tier 3, we have asked that the parent or that Ms. McBride develops a budget plan, and then also hopefully we can transition into unsupervised visitation, and then the ongoing service plan task.
Okay. Has she reviewed inside the plan?
Yes, she has.
And is it filed with the court?
It is.
Are you requesting that the court make it the order of the court today?
Yes, I am.
And how about Dad? What is on his service plan?
So for Dad, we've asked that he complete a psychological evaluation, and then an EdCaught assessment. And tier 2, complete a 12-step program, individual counseling, substance abuse counseling, parent collaboration group, and then participate in general parenting classes. Also family counseling on tier 2. And then we've also asked in tier 3 that he develop a budget plan, and then hopefully we can transition into unsupervised visitation, and then of course the ongoing service task.
Okay, great. And has he reviewed and signed the plan?
He has.
Are you requesting that the court make this plan the order of the court today?
Yes, I am.
And what is the permanency goal?
Family reunification with a concurrent goal of relative adoption.
Okay. Anything else you feel the court needs to be updated on at this time?
Yes. So we did, I did request a home study on the paternal grandmother, Mr. McBride's mother. However, that's been denied. There was some concerns of Miss Debbie McBride, her age. She also has an adoptive handicapped daughter, and 4 kids would be a lot to take on, I feel like. But again, that home study was denied. I will request a home study on the maternal grandparents. However, when I did speak to Miss McBride, they can't take on all 4 children. They can only take on the older 2. And I know the department really has a goal of wanting all 4 kids back together. And I know that placement's continuing to work on that and finding placement for all 4 of them. They do get to see each other weekly for 2 hours. And then I'm also going to try to get the foster parents in contact with each other, maybe meet up once a month on a Saturday for a park visit so they can all spend some time together. They all love each other very much, and they're excited every week when they get to see each other.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
And Mr. Hawkins?
And Judge, I don't have any questions for this witness.
All right, Mr. Smith?
Ms. Morgan, in regards to the home study, is it a priority of the department to keep the kids together?
The department, always has a goal. We want to keep all the siblings together. However, that hasn't been able to be achieved thus far, but that's our goal. I mean, that's what we're working towards constantly.
You said there was a home study performed on the father's adoptive mother. Is that correct?
It's actually his mother. Yes. Or
Okay.
yes. It was
Okay.
adopted.
Okay, we can stop. And the result of that is that home study was denied, right?
Yes, sir.
Why was it denied again?
There was concerns of Miss McBride taking on 4 children. She has an adoptive adult daughter who's handicapped.
Okay, let's stop there. How old is she?
I believe Miss McBride's 66.
Yes, ma'am.
66. Is she willing to take all the kids? Did she express that to you?
She did, yes.
Okay. So the only option that was willing to take all the kids you decided to deny the home study. Is that right?
I don't make that decision. The home study's requested through a third party, and then it's sent back to the department, and our program director makes that decision.
And that was due to her age and the fact that she has another daughter who's special needs at home.
I also believe there was references contacted, and there was concerns about Miss McBride's other son who lives in the home, and him drinking.
Does she have any CPS history?
Miss McBride does not. No, sir.
Does she have any criminal history?
No.
Who made the decision to deny that home study?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Just that a full hearing on placement would go beyond the scope of a status hearing. We're happy to have that hearing, but I think it's going to take longer than the time allotted for a status hearing, and we'd like to be prepared and have witnesses if we need them. I don't know that everyone has seen the home study yet.
To respond to that, Judge, I think it was ordered at the adversarial hearing, and this is our first opportunity to have any questions answered by the department as to the results of that. I just heard today that it was denied, and I'm trying to get some guidance here.
The purpose of a hearing is to give me information to make a decision, not for you to get discovery. Okay, that's where we get a little bit off on these hearings sometimes. It's not your information is you contact Ms. New or Ms. Morgan and you gather information and then you present it at a hearing. You don't come to a hearing and gather information. Okay, that's not really where we're at. And I agree that I want to hear some things about this, but she's already answered that. That was the program director that makes that decision. And I think we're all very aware that program directors are what or make the decisions regarding home studies. So let's move it along, Mr. Smith.
Fair enough. Do you have any other option, family placement that would accept all 4 children at this time?
No, sir. I did speak with Miss McBride. I did attempt to call Mr. McBride yesterday afternoon for them to start gathering some more family members or even fictive kins that have had a relationship with the kids before coming into care. So I just encourage them to.
And let me ask you, did you receive a copy of the home study or did they just tell you it was denied, I guess?
The third party does send the copy back to the department.
Did you get it?
I did.
Okay, could you share that with counsel and the department's attorney?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Can I ask the question?
No, ma'am. Ms. Mills, any questions?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for today's purposes.
All right. And any further witnesses, Ms. New?
I would call Casa. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Kathy Moreland.
And what is Casa's recommendation at this time?
We agree with the department. The children are in very good homes. They're taken care of. All their needs are being met. And like everyone else, we just would like to see the kids together as soon as that could happen.
I'm a lawyer after this. I'll talk to
Thank you.
lawyers.
Pass the witness.
And Mr. Hawkins?
I don't have any questions for this witness, Judge.
Mr. Smith?
No questions, Judge.
And Ms. Mills?
No questions, Your Honor.
And any further witnesses, Ms. New?
No, Your Honor. The department rests.
All right. Mr. Hawkins, any witnesses?
Judge, I don't believe I have any witnesses today.
All right. And Mr. Smith, do you have any witnesses?
Mr. McBride,
All right. Go ahead.
state your full name for the record, sir.
Jody Glenn McBride.
Now, Mr. McBride, did you participate in the family group conference?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you received a service plan?
Yes, sir, I did.
You understand that's going to be ordered by the court today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have any questions about the task there?
No, sir. I just know I need to complete them.
Yes, sir. And you understand you can call me, call the department, talk to your caseworker about completing those tasks?
Yes, sir. I was going to call you after the hearing was over.
Fair enough. You understand also on testimony today that if there was a denied home study, that the department may be interested in further family members to look at for placement of all the girls together?
Yes, sir. And I was wondering if my older brother were to move out of my mother's house, because that was the concerns of one of the concerns about them being placed here. If my brother were to move out of the house, would that help the situation?
I think that's something you should take up with your caseworker. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Could you do that?
I definitely will.
Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. New,
No questions.
Mr. Hawkins,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Mills,
No questions.
all right, and Mr. Smith, any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Judge.
And Mr. Smith, did you get the affidavit of indigency back yet from Mr. McBride?
I thought I did, and I thought I filed it, but I can check my file to make sure.
I don't see a record of us getting it, but like I say, we'll check that as well.
We did get it back, Judge, but I'm going to make sure if we e-file that or I get it over to the court today.
Yes, sir. Okay. And Ms. Mills, any witnesses or any recommendations?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I would agree with CASA and approve the department to remain TMC and approve the current placements. The kids are doing great where they are. I too would like to see them to be together, but they're in good places for now.
All right. And so the department is going to continue as the temporary managing conservator of all 4 children. And I will approve the current placements as meeting their needs and in their best interest for today. And I will make the family plans of service in order of the court today. I didn't hear about the visitation schedule, but since there wasn't really any complaints about it, we'll keep that the way it is. Now, as far as the home studies, obviously, you know, there needs to be some discussion about, you know, possible ways of doing this. The other thing I'm going to say is I understand the department's desire to have the kids all in the same foster home, but there's also that provision in there that says you keep them with family too. And they're not currently together. So, you know, there's competing factors in all of that. So obviously this home study on the maternal side needs to be done as well. All right. Anything else I need to cover? All right. And and if there's nothing further, then we're going to be adjourned today. So Mr. and Ms. McBride, you can go ahead and log off. And
just
our next
briefly,
hearing
Judge.
What's that?
Just briefly, if the department can just share those home studies, we didn't get it. I did not get it before today. I wasn't trying to conduct discovery in the hearing. I just need them to share it. That's all.
Well, and that's, but I'm not sure when they got it, and they did say that they were going to give it to you.
Yes, sir.
All right, our next hearing is going to be July the 23rd, and that will be the initial permanency hearing, and we will go over kind of what the progress is at that point. 8863 in the interest of the Gressett children, and we are here for permanency/final, and I assume it's going to be a permanency hearing. And I do have parents here, so I do have to give you the statutory warning, and that is that your parental rights and duties are subject to restriction or termination if you are unwilling or unable to provide your child or children with a safe environment. Okay, Ms. New, you may proceed.
Thank you. I call Ronnie Smith. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Ronnie Smith.
And are you the conservatorship worker for the Gressett kids and parents?
I am.
Where are the kids currently placed?
They're currently placed in a foster home.
Same place they've been in for some time now?
Correct.
And they're together?
Correct.
And how are they doing?
They're doing very well. We are faced with a few challenges with Dan. There's been a couple issues where he has reached out and potentially engaged in inappropriate conduct. However, they are making tremendous strides and doing very well.
And are they active in counseling or therapy?
They are.
Okay. And is the acting out between each other stopped?
There was one attempt by Dan to ask Angel to kiss him, but we are moving to potentially different girls with Dana, and we're hoping that we're making more changes with Dave. Like I said, it's going to continue to take counseling, and for parents and caregivers and the department, all kind of wrapping around him.
Okay, great, but he's making progress.
He is.
Any medical problems with either of the kids?
No.
Are either of them on psychotropic medication?
Yes, Dave takes medication for ADHD, which has been very rewarding for him, not only to calm down, but also for school.
Okay, and he's under the regular care of a doctor at least every 90 days with that, correct?
Yes, he is.
And is Amy on any psychotropic meds?
No, she is not.
Okay. And are they both, how are they doing in school?
They're doing excellent. So Dame is making A's and B's, and also A's and B's. They're doing very well. Their conduct is amazing. They are achieving their educational needs and achieving their grade level at this time.
Great, great. Okay. So are all their needs being met in their current placement?
Yes.
And are you asking the court to maintain them in that placement?
Yes.
And so let's talk about the progress of the parents. We'll start with Ms. Gressett. How is she doing in terms of her service plan?
Ms. Hilger is doing very well.
Sorry.
She's completed the majority of her services. She completed a psychological, her parenting. She also did her drug assessment. She continues to do her 12-step program. She's involved in substance abuse counseling, which is going very well. She's continued to submit random drug testing, which has been negative for quite some time now. Her individual counseling, she's successfully completed. She's provided stability. She's also attended the parent collaboration. The only thing that she lacks at this time is the heart group. And she currently she's attended 9 sessions. She needs to complete stages 2 or sessions 2, 6, and 7. And I believe that will be done within the next 2 sessions.
Okay. So granted, she's not completely finished with everything, but is there anything that we want her to do that she has not either completed or is in the process of completing?
Not at this time. I think she's doing outstanding.
She's fully compliant. Okay. How about Mr. Gressett?
Mr. Gressett, we've asked him to do a psychological, which he has completed, a psychiatric evaluation he completed, an Andrews Center, a mental health assessment he's completed, and has continued to see his doctor for medication reviews. He's completed his individual counseling, his drug assessment, 12-step program. He is still attending his substance abuse counseling, and that's going very well. His random drug testings have been great, and those have been negative for quite some time now. Also, he has offered stability for the children. He just was successfully discharged with anger management classes. He's attended parenting collaboration groups, and both parents continue to communicate with the department and apply to or adhere to all of the miscellaneous and general guidelines that the department's asked.
Great. So he likewise is either working on it or has done everything we've asked. Is that true?
Yes.
And he's made great strides. Is that fair to say?
Tremendous.
Now he is on medication. Is that correct?
He is.
And he's staying regular with his medication and touching back with his doctors if it's not working or it needs adjustment. Is that correct? Okay. Now we held a settlement conference in this case. True?
Yes.
And we worked out a plan, though we didn't put it in a Rule 11 because it's sort of contingent on things continuing to go as well as they are. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
And so as a part of that plan, we want to slowly integrate the kids back into the parents' lives and end up with a monitored return shooting for June-ish. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so at this time, are you asking the court to just maintain our current dismissal date of August 21st in light of that and set us for a hearing in June so that we could request the formal ordering of the monitored return?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the visitation plan?
Currently, right now, we are still doing biweekly every Tuesdays in the Tyler office. Those will be moving as of next week to unsupervised visits. And we will continue that out. I think that we have 4 visits before we would like to begin the full-blown monitor return in place with the mom and dad.
We, everybody sort of work together on coming up with this plan of doing unsupervised and then longer unsupervised, ultimately leading up to the monitored return. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you feel like that's in the best interest of the kids?
I do.
Okay, thanks. Pass the witness.
Ms. Thompson?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Stevens?
No question, Your Honor.
Ms. Mills?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any further witnesses, Ms. New?
I would call CASA.
Right.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Emily Hegland.
And what is CASA's recommendation at this time?
Our recommendation is that the children remain in their current placement and that we continue to, like you said, work together with the parties to work toward this eventual monitored return.
Okay. And CASA was part of the settlement conference, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Pass the witness.
All right. And Ms. Thompson?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Stevens?
No questions.
And Ms. Mills?
No questions.
Anything further, Ms. New?
No, Your Honor, the department rests.
Ms. Thompson, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Stevens, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Mills?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I agree with CASA. I think the plan that's everybody came up with is a great plan, and proud of the parents. When I came into the case, things weren't looking so great, and there's been a great turnaround, so I'm happy for them, and I think the plan is in the best interest of the kids, and they're doing great where they are, and looking forward to a good ending.
All right. Well, the department is going to continue as a temporary managed conservator of both children, and I will approve the current placements. I'm also going to approve the, I call it a step-up visitation plan, transition plan, and I will echo from Ms. Bills. I remember this case starting, and I remember where we started from and where we're at now, and things are going where they should go. And there's been a lot of rocky road, but it seems like it's leveling out, which I want to, express my appreciation to both of the parents for that, because you guys have worked very hard to get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a hearing. It's going to be kind of a progress hearing on June the 11th, and that will, at that point, it'll either be time for the monitor return or it won't. I am very excited in the fact that I think it will be, and we can start the monitor return at that point and get this case moved down the road. 20-0543-392 in the Stellar and Kennedy case, and we're set today for a initial permanency hearing. And I do have parents here, so I do have to give you the statutory warning, and that is that your parental rights and duties are subject to restriction or termination if you are unwilling or unable to provide your child or children with a safe environment. I think I got everybody there, but Ms. New, go ahead.
Thank you. I call Casey Wilson. Excuse me. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Casey Wilson.
And are you the conservatorship worker for the Stellar and Kennedy kids?
Yes, ma'am.
And where are they currently placed?
Michael is placed in Lufkin in a foster home. Allison is placed in Fairfield in a foster
home. What are they
home.
doing in their respective placements?
They are both doing really well. Allison's grades are all A's and B's. She's not gotten in any trouble at school. She's going to therapy once every other week. And she's thriving. She's doing really well and happy. Michael, his grades have come up as well. He has all A's and B's. He was recently put on a new medication to help with some of his behavior outbursts, and it's been very effective. I think in the last 3 weeks, he's gotten in trouble once, and that was yesterday. He's doing good in school. He's getting along with his peers. He's getting along with the kids in placement and seems to be doing really well at this time.
Well, that's great. Because he was having some problems there for a while, was he not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are there any health issues with either of the kids?
Michael had tubes put in his ears. It was the middle of March. The surgery went well. He healed and is doing better, and he's able to hear much better than he was before. Aside from that, there's no health issues.
Either of them are taking psychotropic medication.
Michael is.
And he's seen regularly by an MD to monitor his medication at least every 90 days.
Yes, he sees someone for his medication every 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. And why are the kids in different placements?
Michael is at a specialized level of care due to a lot of the behaviors he had when he first came into care at the department. And they were initially placed together, but that placement cannot, they are not able to handle the kind of behaviors he was having.
Okay. And he was originally at the same one with Allison?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then he was moved to a higher level of care?
Yes.
Okay. And are all of their, how are they doing in school?
How are they doing in school? They're both doing really good. They've all got all A's and B's.
Great. So are both placements meeting all of their needs?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you requesting the court maintain them in their placements?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's talk about parents' progress. At this point, we'll start with Mom. Is she making adequate and appropriate progress on her service plan?
No, ma'am.
What has she failed to do?
Did you say what has she failed to do? I'm sorry, my computer speakers are not awesome
Yes.
today.
What has she failed to do?
Well, she just completed the ICADAS this past week, so I have to wait and see if she follows through with that. She hadn't followed up with her appointments with Stephanie Teal, but it's my understanding that she does have an appointment to start back up today. She'd only had one session of individual therapy with East Texas Psychological, but again, it's my understanding Lynn was going to, she told me that she had called them and hadn't received a call back, so she was trying to set that up again. The parenting classes, I did confirm that she is on the wait list for parenting classes through Methodist Children's Home, so we just have to wait for a new one to start up, I think, in May. And she has not attended parent collaboration. She did drug tests for the month of March, though.
What have her drug test results been like in her drug testing history?
She has only drug tested twice since the start of this case in October. And her most recent drug test was positive on urine for amphetamines and methamphetamines. And her hair follicle was positive for methamphetamines and amphetamines.
Okay. And I'm assuming, was it positive back in October as well?
She was positive in October during the investigation, and she was also positive with her test in December.
And that's meth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move on to Mr. Starnes, who is Michael's father. He making adequate and appropriate progress on his plan?
He completed his psychological, he is compliant with drug testing, and he is doing parenting classes. But the issue is that he has not made a visit with Michael since, I think October was the last time he had a visit with him, because in November, Michael was in the psychiatric hospital when the visit was scheduled.
And so is he actively working to achieve reunification with Michael?
He is completing the items on his service plan, yes, but he is not engaging with Michael. I gave the opportunity, Michael calls him every single Saturday, and that started back in December. And of those Saturdays, he answered the one call right before our PC conference. And then after he missed this last visit, I told him that he needs to make his son a priority. And so he talked to him for 15 minutes on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And so, would you say that he is not making adequate and appropriate progress on the service plan?
Yes, ma'am.
And then how about Mr. Kennedy? Is he making adequate and appropriate progress on his service plan?
Yes, ma'am. He completed his psychological. He completed his mental health evaluation. He actually just got discharged from individual counseling successfully. He's been attending parent collaboration every month, and he is set to start parenting classes May 4th. I'd hoped he would get in February, but that was not his issue. That was the provider.
Okay. So he would be in compliance with his plan as far as you're concerned. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But the problem with him is that he's got a pending sexual child case hanging over his head. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know anything about the status of that case?
No, ma'am. I talked to the district attorney's office earlier this week, and they were supposed to call me back, and they have not. From what they told me over the phone, it looks like there are bond conditions, but they cannot find the actual document that states what the bond conditions are.
Okay. So we had been under the impression from information given to us by Mr. Kennedy that he has bond conditions that would prohibit him from visiting with Allison. Is that true?
Yes. When the case started, he said that he thought his bond conditions were that he couldn't be with children under the age of 18.
And so we have not made visits available because of that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But we've searched and searched for those bond conditions and we don't find them. True?
Yes, ma'am.
So at this point, is the department going to offer the visits, and it's up to him whether he thinks he has those bond conditions or not, whether he wants to do
Yes, ma'am.
At any rate, it causes a problem for a permanency goal or any kind of reunification for him. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So has the goal changed for these kids?
Yes, the primary goal is going to be relative adoption, with a secondary goal being family reunification.
Okay. Do we have a relative located or in mind at this point?
Right now, there is a pending home study on Leona Whitman. That is Ricky's mom, who lives in the Galveston area. We should have that back in the next week and a half. If that does not work out, I have another really good potential placement, Miranda and Randy Weeks. They actually live in Malakoff, so they'll be closer in terms of visits, and both the kids would be able to go there. So we do have some options.
Who are they related to?
They are, so Lynn has a brother named Michael Stellar also. That's our Michael's uncle. And they are family friends. So they have known the Stellars for like 20 years. The kids know who they are. They've been to their home. And actually, Miranda is a SPED teacher aide at the school. So that would be awesome because she has experience in being able to help with some of Michael's needs.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you feel the court needs to be updated on at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you asking the court to approve the department's goal change and to maintain the status quo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Pass the witness.
Mr. Casper?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Wilson, is it fair to say that there has been improvement insofar as Ms. Stellar working her services?
This past week, as long as she maintains that meeting with Ms. Teal and she does engage in individual therapy, at that point, I would say yes.
Right, and she has finished her at CATA, so that's an improvement. Do you agree? Would you agree?
Yes, sir, as long as she follows the recommendations of it.
Right, and you're aware that a lot of her problems have been due to transportation problems?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you're aware that she now has a car?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that should step things up quite a bit, wouldn't you say?
I hope so.
Except working services, you'd say that her biggest problem has been failing the drug tests.
Yes.
Okay. And last test was March 26th.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way we could step up that that part of the program as far as testing,
So
that she know that she's clean?
So I talked with my supervisor about that. We are allowed to do 1 UA a month and 1 hair follicle every 3 months. And to be fair, I did ask Lynn every week since we had court in February 2 drug tests, and she finally did it the 26th.
Okay. So when is the soonest she could be drug tested again? It'll be end of April?
Anytime in April, yeah.
Oh, anytime in April?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you say that the primary goal of the department at this time is adoption?
Yes, sir.
And is that a change? Isn't that a change in the goal?
Yes, sir. We talked about that at the permanency conference.
And is there a concurrent goal or an alternative goal?
Family reunification.
Okay. And what would it take for reunification to return to the top of the list of goals?
Timely completion of services and negative drug tests.
Okay. And did you say that there's going to be a change in the placement?
We are exploring options for what would be considered kinship placements so that the kids can be placed together.
And who was that with?
The first one is Leona Whitman. That is ongoing. We're waiting for it to be completed in the paperwork to get back. That is Ricky, who is Lynn's boyfriend's mother, who lives in Galveston area.
Wait, Leona Whitman, and she lives in Galveston?
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a closer
placement? That would put the kids in the same placement. And that placement was actually, the option was provided to me by Lynn and Ricky.
When will we know about this change in their placement?
I'm not sure what you mean.
When are we going to know that the change in placement is going to actually occur?
I don't have an exact date. We should have something back in the next week and a half from the people that actually complete the home study. And then all of that information has to be gone over by employees of DFPS. And then at that point, we'll have an answer.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a few. It's Miss Wilson, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I know Casey, but I want to call you by your last name. Miss Wilson, with regard to Mr. Kennedy himself, he's done everything you've asked him to do with regard to working the plan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But for the other allegation against him, the pending case against him, he would be a suitable choice for reunification of the family. Is that right?
I would, even if you took that charge out, there would be some concerns on behalf of the department because he resides on the same property as someone who has been found reason to believe for sex abuse of a child.
Okay. You're talking about Mr. Kennedy currently lives on that property?
Yes.
Okay. And who is that person?
That is his brother, Charles Klebert.
Okay. And have those charges been substantiated or brought against Mr. Cleaver yet?
So for Mr. Kleber, I believe that he was no billed criminally. However, he was found reason to believe for sex of a child by the department. And he also has some other reason to believe history in terms of neglectful supervision, I believe.
Okay. But if Mr. Kennedy, in the event Mr. Kennedy was not faced with this other problem and was able to substantiate his own homestead place, he would be a consideration. Is that correct?
Doug's going to ask the answer.
Well, and it's also, Mr. Mayo, I'm not real sure how relevant it is. He does have that. It's kind of speculation at this point.
Okay. Just a quick follow-up then, Judge. With regard to Mr. Kennedy's bond conditions, if I may, I believe I know what has transpired with regard to those bond conditions, and it's the reason you nor I can find them. It's my understanding that when Judge Moore added those provisions to the bond conditions, the DA's office, the ADA that was there, was to expand the bond condition order, and that just did not get done. So that may answer the at least months old question as to where those other bond conditions are. But it is true that you've not found any written bond conditions. Is that right, Ms. Wilson?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And I wanted you to know I had looked for them and I just haven't found them either. But I believe that's my recollection as to what happened. Okay, Ms. Wilson, thank you very much. I'll pass the witness.
All right. And Ms. Mills, do you have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. New, any further witness? Oh, well, before I get, Ms. Wilson, what's taking so long on Ms. Whitman's home study?
We had sent it off, and then some of the paperwork was incorrectly filled out, so we fixed it, and then we sent it off again, and Miss Whitman changed her number but didn't notify me. So then I had to track down a new number and figure out how to get a hold of her and send that off.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. New, any further witnesses?
No, I just had a couple follow-ups with this witness very quickly, if I may.
Very, very quickly.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, you had Mr. Castleberry asked you some questions about drug testing with Lynn Stellar, and you said she could go anytime. Did you mean it's possible for her to go, but she needs to wait until you call her to go for a drug test?
Yes, ma'am.
So that it would be, the drug tests have to be random, right?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
only have 2 drug tests from her in October and March?
The drug tests I have are from December and March.
Okay. And, but you have, is it true that you've asked her to go at least once a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Pass the witness.
Any further questions, Ms. Wilson, from anyone? All right, Ms. New, any further witnesses?
We call CASA.
Kathy Moreland.
And what is CASA's recommendation at this time?
We're in agreement with the department. The children are doing well in their placements correctly. Their needs are being met. And I also in agreement with the department as far as getting them placed together with family or family friends. I'm a little leery on them going to Galveston, but we will have to see what that home study portrays.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, and Mr. Castleberry.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Mayo?
No questions, John.
And Ms. Mills?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, any further witnesses, Ms. New?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Mr. Castleberry, any witnesses?
No witness, Your Honor. We rest.
All right, and Mr. Mayo, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor. We rest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mills, any witnesses or recommendations?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I would agree with CASA. Continue the department as TMC and approve the placements of the children. I have some concern about the placement option in Galveston, but I need to see the home study as well. But I understand there's another lead as well, so I look forward to that report if the Galveston doesn't go through.
All right, thank you. All right, well, the department is going to continue as a temporary managed server of both the children. I will approve the current placements and find that is in the best interest of the children at this point. I will, also say that the move, especially regarding Michael, needs to be looked at pretty closely because you don't want to set him back by placing him in a strange environment. And as far as the parents, and Ms. Stellar, sorry. Ms. Stellar, you're kind of getting behind a little bit on things. You got to step up, and the thing is, and I know Mr. Casper was asking about what you had to do to get your children back to you. The very first thing is you got to stop using meth. Very first thing, because if you're doing that, it ain't never going to happen. You just need to understand that and make that choice. And so that is something that you need to understand going into it. Whatever you have to do to make that happen. Now, as far as the two fathers, unfortunately, Mr. Kennedy's got things that are going to stand in his way at this point until he gets those criminal issues resolved. Just because there's not written bond conditions, if it's been orally stated in court, he's the one that would know that, and I'm not going to order visitation in violation of what I know the criminal courts intend. That would be setting Mr. Kennedy up. That's not fair to him to put him in front of Judge McKee trying to explain why he's around somebody that I know Judge McKee is not going to want him around. So, but I'm not going to do that right now. Other than that, Mr. Kennedy's in compliance, and I think he's doing what he's supposed to do. Mr. Starnes he's kind of in compliance, but not really doing what he needs to do. But I get that as well. So our next hearing is going to be July the 23rd, and that's going to be a permanence review before final. Need to see some progress from Ms. Stellar. And hopefully, Mr. Kennedy, you'll have your situation, at least a plan for it at that point. So,
Your Honor, if I may, I can enlighten the court just a bit on where we're at with the criminal proceeding. They've moved courts. We've transferred courts on Mr. Kennedy's case, and we're set again for.
Kind of familiar with Judge McKee's, where he's at with his cases. Not particularly this one, but where he's doing, because he's doing all the criminal cases. So anyway, we'll be back in July 23rd, and we'll see. So everyone's going to be testifying today. I need to make sure you're off of mute and to raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, and Ms. Ridgel.
Okay, I call Presley Jock. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Presley Jock.
And you are the conservatorship worker on this case, correct?
Correct.
And has it transferred to adoptions?
It has.
Okay. And so why are you still on the case?
I'm still on the case just to alleviate some of the concerns that we've had lately, just working with the caregiver and the adoption worker to make sure that we have everything set in place so the caregiver can give the children their adequate care.
Who is the adoption worker?
Mary Burleson.
Okay. And so we're working towards adoption with Miss Evans, is that correct?
Correct.
And what are some of the concerns that have arisen since our last court hearing?
Since our last court hearing, I got a call in March from the case manager from the counseling in Missouri. She had concerns with how the caregiver was disciplining the children. Elizabeth has some pretty major behavioral problems at school sometimes, and she has been undressing herself at school when she's having a tantrum. Miss Evans was, kind of upset that she kept doing it at school. And so in order to discipline her, she made her sit naked in a corner.
Okay. And how did the department address that?
We first called Miss Evans. She admitted to doing that. She said that she was very overwhelmed and did not know what she could possibly do to reverse everything. An intake was called and everything too. The Missouri caseworker went out there. She didn't feel as if the kids were in immediate danger. But I did contact the counselor again, and Miss Evans just told her that, we're going to have to, maybe take away privileges for the kiddos and stuff if they're showing those type of behaviors, or at least addressing them with the counselor so she can help collaboratively think of a solution.
Okay. Have there been any other concerns since then?
Yes. I didn't get the call. Mary did from the worker out in Missouri. Miss Evans and the children got in a car wreck over a weekend in March. She fell asleep at the wheel. I believe it's because she just has to work so many long shifts and everything and does not have any support there in Missouri. She hit a stop sign. She didn't notify the department or anything. The ICPC worker had to call Mary to let her know. I did talk to her about it. She said, you know, the kids are okay. The car was totaled, and I just informed her that within 24 hours, if there's any emergency, that it's her job to, you know, contact us and everything. So that's been an issue as well.
Has Miss Bertelson been able to get in contact with Miss Evans?
She has, yes. I think Miss Evans was a little confused about who she still needed to contact, and I told her if she has any issues, she can still contact me, but Mary will be her main worker.
Okay. And so we're still working towards adoption with Miss Evans at this point, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any services that you're aware of that we could provide to Miss Evans or the children that they're not already getting to try and help alleviate some of these behaviors or needs? Are the kids in counseling?
Yes. We've been having issues. Me and Miss Evans both have been having issues with the counseling agency that they are seeing, as far as them communicating anything with Miss Evans. And she's just kind of had it with them just because she feels like she's not getting the needed support. She's just getting judged. The kids got a recent psychological, and on there it recommended a mental health place that offers counseling in Joplin. It is an hour away from her home, but when I looked into it, it seemed like it would be more appropriate for the kids and their diagnosis.
And have you talked to Miss Evans about that?
Yes, she said she's trying to work out a plan as far as how she would get the kids there and not to take them out of school so much, or what exactly they offer. But I did talk to her about that, and she does have the contact information for that place.
And so do you know where we're at in the adoption process?
I'm not aware of where we're at yet. I know I submitted the adoption ICPC. I have not got an update on that. I know Ms. Burleson did reach out to them. I don't know if there's any updates from when I last contacted them.
Okay. And so is there anything else that you feel the court needs to know today?
Not at this time.
So today you're asking the court to maintain the placement that they're currently in?
Yes.
And to approve or to continue the department as a permanent managing conservator?
Yes.
Pass witness.
Ms. McKee?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any further witnesses, Ms. Ridgel?
Yes, I would call Mary
Go
Bertelson.
ahead, Ms. Ridgel.
Okay, can you state your name for the record?
Mary Bertelson.
And you're the adoption worker, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Jock, I'm not sure if you were in here, but she testified to the concerns with the timeout and the car accident. Is there anything else that you have concerns of today that you would like the court to know?
No, I was listening on YouTube because I hadn't been pulled in, but no, those were the concerns. I would just add that I've been working with the ICPC worker, and we're putting a safety plan in place regarding those discipline concerns, and having caregiver review the discipline policy again, just to kind of make sure that that's something she understands. I'm also sending her some resources on trust-based relational intervention, just like some parenting resources. So I did speak with her about that. I'm sorry. But other than that, no, we're working to address those concerns. And I don't think that's something that's occurring any longer.
And do you have any other updates on where we're at in the adoption process?
The only update I have is we did get the Higgs back, so I will be sending those to her to review as part of preparing the adoption. The ICPC was completed for the adoption. The worker said that there is a separate worker working with caregiver for the adoption home studies. That is in the works.
Okay. Anything else you want the court to know today?
Ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. McKee?
Questions?
Any further witnesses, Ms. Ridgel?
Yes, CASA.
All right. And
I'm David Roberts, and I'm with CASA, and we agree with the department that we do recommend the permanent managing conservatorship still be with the department. As I visited with Ms. Evans and have looked at the situations, We agree that something needs to be changed about the counseling situation, but I think Ms. Jock has covered what we need, what we would also recommend for that. One of the things that we would like to suggest is to see if there's a resource for childcare, especially as the summer months approach and school is out. Because Ms. Evans does work at night, she may need some support with care for the children during the daytime. And kind of verifying all of this, the fact that the car wreck happened because she fell asleep. She's kind of needing some extra help to take care of the children because she works at night and the children are with her often in the daytime. And this is only going to increase when school's out.
Okay, I'll pass witness.
Ms. McKee,
No questions, Your Honor.
anything further, Ms. Rizzo?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. McKee, any witnesses or any recommendations?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I would share the same concerns that the department had. It's not a situation where the children need to be removed, and usually we want to see adoptions happen as soon as possible, but in this particular case, I'm okay if there's a bit of a delay. I think we really need to help Ms. Evans and offer resources, but other than that, status quo.
And Ms. Bertelson, can I ask you a question, or Ms. Jock, either one? Has anybody looked at what Missouri can do? Because I know you guys can't offer assistance in Missouri, but has anybody looked at Missouri and see if there is any assistance you would qualify for?
I have not. I just got this case. I haven't had a chance to do that. I will speak with the ICPC worker and see if there's anything they can recommend or see if we can get some more assistance for her, for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, the department is going to continue as the permanent managing conservator of the children. I will approve the placement with Ms. Evans and hopefully there are some assistance capabilities. I'm sure Missouri has programs, but I just don't know what they're necessarily going to be. And again, I agree with Ms. McKee. This is not a situation. I don't think those instances or would ever rise to removing the children out of the home. I think that's their best interest right now. But we do need to move forward as the case dictates. And see if we can't get some assistance, get it more stable. In the interest of next hearing is going to be September and I do have Ms. Simpson here today, so I do have to give you the statutory warning, and that is that your parental rights and duties are subject to restriction or termination if you are unwilling or unable to provide your child or children with a safe environment. Now, we were set today for a permanency/final, but I'm assuming that's going to be a permanency hearing. So let's go ahead and get everyone who's going to be testifying today to make sure you're off of mute and to raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Ridgel, am I correct that this is a permanency hearing?
Yes, we had a settlement conference. Parents didn't show up to that. It was my understanding that we didn't have contact with parents, but Ms. Simpson is here today, so.
Okay. Well, you may call your first witness.
Okay. I call Teresa Pillmeyer. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Teresa Pillmeyer.
And when did you become the conservatorship worker on this case?
In November of 20.
Okay. And where's Brian currently placed?
He's in a foster home.
And how long has he been there?
He's been there since he's 9 weeks old. In May of 2019 is when he was placed there.
And how's he doing in that home?
He's doing very well. He just recently had his second birthday. He went for his medical and dental, and everything is fine. He's doing well. He's developmentally on target. He just follows his brother everywhere. He's doing really well in the home.
Does he have any special needs or medical needs?
No, he does not.
Okay. And what is the permanency goal for him?
It's unrelated adoption.
And at this time, well, since you've been on the case, what contact have you had with mom and dad?
I have had no contact with Mr. Beecraft, and I've had a couple of tech contact with Ms. Simpson.
And what services is Ms. Simpson currently participating in?
None.
What does she have left to complete?
She needs to continue with her individual counseling. She stopped going in October of 2020. She also needs to participate in random drug testing. Our last drug testing was in August of 2020. And I need to get some verification on her employment, where she's living, and also if she participated in the parenting classes. She has not participated in her visits with Brian for 20.
When was the last visit that she has attended?
Was in October of 2020.
Okay. Are you asking the court today to find her non-compliant with her service plan?
Yes, I am.
Have you asked her if she knows where Rocky is?
I have asked her, and she's told me that she doesn't know where he's at or doesn't have contact. On one occasion, she said that she would let him know that I was trying to reach out to him. So those have been her responses to me.
And have you found pictures of him on her Facebook as recently as March of this year?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what services does he have left to complete?
He's his individual counseling with Larry Wilburn. The last time he attended that was August of 2020. His last drug test from him was June of 2020. And then the housing, employment, transportation, just the general rules. Again, the same with the parent-child visits with Brian. He has had none for over 24 weeks also.
Okay. Are you asking the court to find him not compliant today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And are you asking the court to maintain him in his current placement and continue the department as a temporary managing conservator?
Yes.
Do you believe that that's what's in Brian's best interest at this time?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass the witness.
And Mr. Smith?
First of all, it's not really her responsibility, Denise Simpson's responsibility to make sure Rocky stays in contact with you, right?
Correct.
Okay. Also, we sent some things to you yesterday. Did you receive those in regards to employment confirmation and some other information?
No, I did not.
Check your email.
I continuously check my email. I have not seen anything. I've checked my email before court this morning as well.
Fair enough. Could I send this to you by mail since we have a confirmation that it was sent out yesterday by email?
Yes, yes.
Do you have an address, or could you give me an address after court? I've been trying to call, but I have an issue getting you on the phone. So maybe if you know I'm going to call, maybe you can give me the address to send it.
Yes, that would be fine. I've received no phone calls from you either.
Well, I sent this to you email yesterday, I just stated.
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness.
All right, and Mr. Dunn?
It's Miss Dunn today, and I don't have any questions.
All right. And Mr. Tinsley?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
And finally, Ms. Bradsky?
No questions, Your Honor.
And Ms. Ridgel, any further witnesses?
I would call, I would like to call Miss Simpson if we want to do that while we wait for Casa to get back on.
Yeah, well, they need to hear everything too.
Okay. Can you say your name for the record?
Rebecca Stahl, CASA.
What's CASA's recommendation today?
We are in agreement with the department for status quo.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
And Mr. Smith?
No questions of this witness.
Ms. Dunn,
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Tinsley,
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
and Ms. Bresky.
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Ridgel, next witness.
I'm not going to call Ms. Simpson. Nothing
All right.
further.
Mr. Smith, any witnesses?
Sorry about that, Judge. I called Denise Simpson.
All right.
Now, Ms. Simpson, can you, is your full name Denise Simpson?
Yes, sir.
Where are you employed?
I'm at I am employed with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice at the Cofield unit.
Okay. And you got a certificate as a corrections officer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you own a car?
Yes, sir.
It looks like you bought that car in February, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where do you live?
I live at Wheeler, Texas.
And is that your permanent address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Understood that after mediation, that there was a jury demand on file, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you understand also that you relied on that jury demand?
Yes, sir.
And then finally, you understand that through me as your counsel filed a separate jury demand.
Yes, sir.
Do you still want a jury trial?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Because we've not been able to settle this case in any other way, right?
Right.
Okay, pass the witness.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes. Ms. Simpson, why have you not visited your son since
I have had
October?
Miss Teresa, how do you say her last name? Paramere has not had any contact with me until March of this past year. I was not aware of who my caseworker was until she texted me in March. I can call the department all day long and I cannot get a hold of Lauren Young or Miss Teresa. The department said that they did not have my address, which is incorrect. They have my address. I got notification of this hearing today, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so you haven't seen your son because it's the department's fault?
I'm not saying it's the department's fault, but if I call to schedule
I
my
object to that,
appointment and no
Judge.
one
That's
answers,
not the statement that she made. Mischaracterization of the evidence.
Let's just move it along. Let's just move it along, Ms. Ridgel. I heard her answer.
Nothing further.
And Ms. Dunn?
Ms. Simpson, do you have any idea where Rocky is?
I know he's in the Tyler area. Last I knew, he was living on Valentine Street.
Okay. Do you have any other contact information for him, a possible phone number or anything?
I don't have a phone number. The only way I know how to contact him is Facebook.
Okay. Could you do me a favor and screenshot whatever his Facebook page looks like, give that to Mr. Smith so he can get it to me and maybe I can get in contact with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
And Mr. Tinsley?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Bretsky?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Smith, any further witnesses?
I have a follow-up from Ms. Simpson.
Okay.
Ms. Simpson, did you have a current visitation schedule prior to March?
No.
Did Ms. Pellmeyer, your caseworker, give you any options for visitation or seek to contact you in regards to setting up a visit?
No, sir.
Did you ask her about visits?
I have messaged her recently and I haven't received anything back from her.
Okay. You're interested in visiting with Brian?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Any further questions or questions of Ms. Simpson?
No, Your Honor.
Any further witnesses, Mr. Smith?
No further witnesses, Judge.
All right. And Ms. Dunn, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Tinsley, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Ms. Bretsky, any witnesses or any recommendations?
No witnesses, Your Honor. My recommendation is we keep this child where he is. Brian's doing really well. He's still going to the same daycare. He's talking louder, running faster, doing everything that he's supposed to be doing for a little boy his age. He recently had good checkups at the doctor and the dentist, so he's in good shape.
All right. Okay, now attorneys. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Smith, because you made a point of you definitely want a jury trial. You also objected to me. I need to know how many times you have contacted Judge Calhoun's office to set this for jury trial since January, when I specifically ordered the attorneys to contact Judge Calhoun's office.
I've been working with Miss Ridgel in regards to that, and there was
I didn't ask about Miss Ridgel.
I did
asked
not
about
contact Judge Calhoun, Judge.
Okay, because I made a specific order that you and Miss Dunn were to contact Judge Calhoun to set this for a jury trial. You're a month away from a dismissal date. So, Ms. Dunn, did you contact Judge Calhoun's office?
Your Honor, I did not. I haven't had any contact with my client in multiple months, and my understanding was that we were going to have a hearing for a motion to strike the jury.
Well, that was filed like a day and a half ago. And that is something that, you know, like I say, that was not going to happen in January when I ordered you guys to start working on this with Judge Calhoun. Mr. Tinsley, I assume you haven't contacted Judge Calhoun.
No, Your Honor. That's one of the reasons we filed the motion to strike. We just, something.
Yeah. Ms. Ridgel, did you contact Judge Calhoun's office?
I did not. I was trying to get information for if we were still going to be having a jury.
Okay. I will tell you that Ms. Creech did contact Judge Calhoun's office, and they did inform me that not a single one of you has worked on this. Ms. Bretsky, I'm not going to, force her to do it as ad litem.
I was waiting for you to ask me because my answer is going to be the same. I have not done that.
Because it's pretty clear to me that there's been nothing done on this. And any ideas how you're going to get a jury trial before May 10th? I mean, I'm waiting. Anybody?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my plan was to see how you ruled on the motion today and get with the court after today. I didn't know. I know on the docket you said you needed a COVID extension, so I didn't know if that was for the May 10th or the new September date.
You're talking about what you found out in the last week. I'm talking about it because the docket wasn't out with that on it till about a week ago. The motion wasn't filed until about a day and a half ago or so.
Well, just based on the conversations that I had with Mr. Smith and he didn't have contact with his client. So my assumption we were going to show up because nobody had contact with parents. And so I didn't think we were going to be going forward with the jury trial.
Okay. Well, let me make a suggestion to attorneys. You don't make assumptions about whether or not you can get a case done. Now, I'm probably going to do a COVID extension. It gets you about 2 months, 3 extra months. You're going to be hard pressed to get a jury trial in that time frame because nobody's worked on it. And I know why Mr. Smith and Ms. Dunn didn't do it, because they didn't want to go tell Judge Calhoun that he was going to waste a jury panel with parents that weren't there. Now I've got a parent here, so there's a reason to do it. You can tell I'm not real happy because when I order attorneys to do stuff, timing wise, this is a CPS case. There are timelines that you work on. If I didn't have a new order from the Supreme Court from March the 5th, you'd be done. The department's going to continue as a temporary managed conservator of Brian. I am going to grant the extension, which I'm required to do, which will make the new dismissal date September 1st. And that's his absolute longest possible time this can take. If it's not done on September 1st, this case is dismissed jurisdictionally. Now, by next Friday, every single attorney on this screen is going to contact Judge Calhoun's office. And you're going to have a jury trial setting in this case by next Friday. Mr. Tinsley, if you want Judge Calhoun to hear your motion on striking the jury, I mean, quite honestly, I will tell you, I don't think that it's, going to happen.
No, I understand that, Your Honor, and we filed it thinking that it probably would have to be in front of Calhoun, since the respondent mother and father had objected to this court hearing the trial. But that motion came after an attempted settlement conference where the parents didn't appear,
Right.
so I just wanted to get that on file.
All right. But I am going to approve placement and find that that's been in best interest. The visitation schedule, which has not changed since September, will remain in place, which is 1 hour a week at the department. And I don't find it very convincing that Ms. Simpson is blaming the department for not being able to do visitation when she also hadn't been contacting her attorney to try to get it either. And she also missed the last hearing in January. So that's not really convincing excuses for missing visitation. All right. So we're going to be adjourned today. I'm not going to set a new hearing date. It needs to go in front of Judge Calhoun. And so that will be where it will go. And I will get it back should there be a termination or PMC in the case. I'll get it back after the final. All right, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then we are going to be adjourned. Ms. Simpson, you can go ahead and log off.
All right, thank you.